Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my passion. This special education is my passion. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I don't see anything to stop me from continuing to do this. So, today we're going to talk about behavior. Behavior is a large catchphrase word for something that someone is doing, a child is doing, and they shouldn't be, and they don't know it or they're doing it on purpose. So, how do you figure out whether or not a child has a behavior problem? Well, first of all, you have the student evaluated. And the evaluation is called an FBA, Functional Behavioral Assessment. And in that assessment, a board-certified behavior analyst is the person who does it. They observe him. I'm saying him because it's usually just boys, but yes, it can be girls too. Anyway, they do a functional behavioral assessment. And, after observing him in the classroom and writing out their notes, they take what other people say and they put it all together and come up with a reason why they're having behavior problems. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is that they may have a behavior in the classroom. Get up, walk out, walk around the room, and there's always a reason for that movement. They may have sensory issues that have never been evaluated, at which time you would take this time to have him evaluated for occupational therapy and sensory. If he's doing it because he can't read or write and he's being asked to do that, think about it. If you're asked to do something you can't do, you know you can't do it, what are you supposed to do in the classroom? What you do is you have a behavior so you get kicked out of the classroom and don't have to do the work. That is not an education. And unfortunately, for many boys across the entire country, this is happening to them. If they don't know how to do something, they have a behavior knowing that that behavior will get them kicked out of the classroom. Wouldn't you do that? I can't read. Oh no. She wants me to read in front of the class. They're going to make fun of me. This is what's going through a student's head. They're going to make fun of me. What am I going to do? I know. I'll get up and walk out of the room. Then I don't have to do it. And then they get in trouble. Sometimes they get suspended for doing things like that. They may walk out into the hall. They may walk out and go into the boys' room. You don't know where they are. But understand that if they can't do something, they're not going to try to do it. Let's say that the student can't write, and they have occupational therapy and they're trying to learn how to write, and that's great. But what if they can't write and you ask them to write a paragraph about, I don't know, butterflies? Think about it. Would you be able to write a paragraph about butterflies if you couldn't write? And it's not fair to them that they have to have a behavior to get out of doing something. So what I do is I analyze what they're doing. I have my master's degree in Psychology of Applied Behavioral Analysis, ABA. That's behavior. That's why I'm so happy to be able to share this with you. Because think about it. If you can't do it, you're not going to do it. And until they teach you how to do it, or come over and sit with you and show you how to do it, the student doesn't learn how to do it. And they have a behavior. And sometimes they'll have a behavior that gets blown out of proportion. I have a student who was said to have choked a paraprofessional. Choked. Which means, putting your hands over their neck and squeezing. But when we found out what he really did, he didn't choke her. All he did was pull her hoodie back a little bit. She didn't end up at the hospital or going to see the nurse or anything. But he was suspended for pulling her hoodie. Now the question would be, why did he pull her hoodie? They would have to ask him, why did you do that? And then determine whether or not that's a suspendable offense. Is it? It's up to the principal and the assistant principal what they do to a student when they do something wrong behaviorally. But if they have a bias against the student to begin with, for example, racism still exists, and if you notice, children of color are the ones who are mostly suspended in this country. Why is that? Because racism still exists. Bias still exists. And unless you change the adult, you're not going to get the results you need to find out what happened. Adults grew up in a time when children of color or teenagers or even young adults were treated unfairly. They would do something that a white student would do, and they would be suspended. I'm going to give you an example. One of my native children was in the hall of his middle school on the Cape, and he was assaulted verbally by a white student. He was called the N-word. They got into a fight, and of course when you fight in school you get suspended for 10 days. Well, he got suspended and the white child got suspended. Now the difference is that when he came back from the suspension, the 10-day suspension, the white student just came in, said he'd never do it again, and then signed a paper saying he would never do it again, and he went off to classes. My student went in with his parent, and they said to him, "We don't think that you're invested in your education, so we're going to give you some extra time off." When I got the case, he had been out of school for 3 months. Not 3 weeks, 3 months. With no end in sight. So I had the mother call a meeting. I told her not to tell them that I was coming in. And when the meeting was, and I walked into the room, this is what they did. This jittery thing like, "Oh, Toni, we didn't know you were coming." And I said, "I know that." And they said, "Well, not everyone is here. Why don't you, get settled and we'll get everybody else that's coming." I said, "Okay. But I'm going to tell you, they weren't bringing anyone else in because it took them almost a half an hour to find other people to be in the room because I was there. I have a reputation." So the team meeting ended up with me saying, "Who did this to this student? Who did it? Who made the decision not to let him back in? And why?" And the person who did it was not in the room. So they fessed up and said, "Who did it?" And I said, "Why? How did they make that decision knowing the laws of education, special education? How did they do that?" Well, needless to say, I got him back into school that day, and they had to give him a tutor for all of the days that he was not in school. And he graduated. He graduated from high school because of the intervention. But you have to take each intervention as something new, because that's the only time I had to deal with that kind of behavior from the school. But sometimes I do call them out. I tell them, "You're the reason why he's not doing well. You're the reason why he's getting up and leaving the classroom. All of you, the team. And you're a part of the team. Understand that if the team is not doing what they're supposed to do, the child will have a behavior. You leave a whole class of kids without a teacher for 10 minutes. Are they going to sit there with their hands folded and their feet under the desk? No. They're going to behave, do something. They're going to have behaviors because they can. Because they can. I want you to understand that there are reasons for everything. And students, especially elementary school age students, don't know what they're doing. This is their first involvement in a school setting. Think about that. Their first involvement. And they have to get out their energy doing something. And we're making them sit and write, if they can write. If they can't write, what do you think should happen? Number one, they should have an occupational therapy evaluation to find out why they can't write. Are they writing big? They'll analyze what's happening with the student. And then they're supposed to give them accommodations that will allow them to work with a paraprofessional, a teacher, somebody who can help them write. Except for one thing, and I can't stress this enough because I'm always struggling with teams about assistive technology. Understand that if a student had an iPad and could type out or speak out whatever they wanted to write, they would be able to do that. But they won't always give assistive technology to children. Why, I don't know, because this is an assistive technology world, right? Well, in this assistive technology world, we're going to have to adapt to what these students are going to have or have to have in their future. Eventually, they're going to have it anyway, because people don't write anymore. I don't write anymore. If you have a computer, a laptop, iPad, something, Dragon Dictate. Do you know about Dragon Dictate? It's a program that you can speak into, and it writes everything you say. All you have to do is train it to your voice and things that you say. And that's easy. That's easy. And if you have to do whatever the work is at home because they didn't want you to speak in the classroom, they can give you a different room to go into if you have to. You know, I have to fight for assistive technology every time I go into a meeting. Why is that? They don't want to put the money in the budget. Well, guess what? They have to. They have to. And the students should be able to bring the equipment home so they can do their homework with it as well. You know, I'm fighting right now a school system that doesn't want to give the student assistive technology. You know why they don't want to do it though? Listen to this. They ask him, now, first of all, you need to know they've never given it to him. So when I came in, they didn't dedicate an iPad to him. But he had had an evaluation 2 years prior. And guess what? He didn't have anything that was suggested, not even the iPad, not the apps, nothing. And I said, 2 years ago you did an evaluation, and why is it that he's not using it? Well, we could get him the technology. I said, good. That's what you need to do. Good. So guess what they did? They gave him an iPad, didn't have all of the apps on it, but they gave him an iPad. That was the beginning. Then they said he couldn't take it home. Then they said they were going to teach the teachers how to use all of the apps, and then they'll give it to him to use. And I said, if he's the one who needs the help, you should be teaching him, not the teachers. They wouldn't do it. They won't do it. And now when I ask at a meeting if he's using it, they say, well, we offer it to him and he doesn't choose to use it. And I said, well, does he know how to use it? Did you already teach him how to use it? And they said, well, no, not yet. Think about that. No, not yet? That's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. So I'm having issues with a school district that doesn't understand why this child of color needs to use his iPad and bring it home. I don't understand why they won't let them bring them home. So back to behavior. There's always a reason. And all you need is a board-certified behavior analyst to explain why. And then, after you do that, you create a behavior plan. You create a behavior plan that the whole team sits, listens to the results of the FBA, and then they come up with how they're going to help him. How they're going to keep him from having to have a behavior. All it is education. Education for the team. They need to know what they need to do. And sometimes they know, but don't do it. Well, that too isn't right. And I call them on it because I would call them on it. Because the parent doesn't understand. why they're doing what they're doing. And they would get upset. The parent will get upset, but not know why they're getting upset. Not being able to process what's really happening. And that's what an advocate does, a consultant does for education. That's what I do. So if you have a child with behavior problems, find out why they're having them. If they haven't already done an FBA, then make them do it. Unless they have a behavior specialist working in the school, they typically try to use somebody else. Don't let them do it. It's not valid. You have to have the credentials. It's like me going in without teacher's credentials and trying to teach. Not happening. Can't happen. So please, analyze the students' records. Analyze why they can't do something, and then make the team put in the IEP what he needs in order to be able to do something. And I don't mean have a paraprofessional read for him if he can't read. That's not what I mean. Find a reading program that works for him and give it to him. Every day would be best, but at least 3 times a week. We have to start actually looking at what a child needs and giving it to them so that they don't have to have behaviors. They don't have to, because they'll be getting their needs met, and that's the whole point. Education is a need, and throwing a kid out of school or down to the principal's office is not an education. They think they're punishing them. Understand, that's what they wanted to begin with. So please, think about it. And if you have any questions at all, contact me. I'm at ToniSaunders.com. And please subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can write them down here, or you can contact me. I'm here for you. Have a good day.